Oric Consulting presents the Oracle Podcast with Anton Marshall. You're with the Oracle Podcast. My name is Anton Marshall. Joining us today, returning to us today, is Nicola Tyler of Business Results Group. Thanks again for joining us, Nicola, and welcome back.
Hi, Anton. Great to be with you.
Today, Nicola, we're going to talk about an upcoming event that is being hosted by Business Results Group that has to do with a leadership strategy or a business strategy called Multipliers. In a nutshell, could you talk to us a little bit about what that is exactly?
Multipliers is the product of some research conducted by Liz Wiseman. It was a global study of leadership. And Liz Wiseman was actually the head of learning and development at Oracle for many years. And when she left Oracle, she embarked on a research study to try and figure out how come some leaders seem to get more out of their teams than other leaders. And it was almost like piqued by curiosity, triggered into a research project and ended up being published as a methodology for leaders and a training program, which is called Multipliers.
We've spoken about it briefly before, and as yourself and as a business, you've adopted the approach or many aspects of the approach in your own way of dealing with this.
Yeah, well, when I came across the model, and the sort of caveat to that is I've been exposed to so much content over the last, almost 25 years now, that very little content sort of gets my attention because you often see the same leadership models and theories just being bandied about with sort of new, sexier titles. Mm-hmm. So when I came across Multipliers, I thought not only is that a very simple approach to leadership, but its impact is powerful. So it's a little bit like De Bono's phrase, powerful simplicity. I just thought something that practical is a skill that's easy to transfer and easy to develop. So instead of getting the theory of leadership, this is more the how-to of leadership. So when I came across the content, the curiosity actually got me to fly over to Dubai and get myself exposed to the certification program, because I thought this isn't just something I want people to embrace and adopt for their own businesses. It's something I wanted to embrace and adopt for myself.
You've recently had an event up in Johannesburg that, shall we say, a similar type of event to what's coming up now in Cape Town. Tell us a little bit about what went down there and what were some of the exciting things that you actually saw, or some of the things that people said about attending that seminar.
That's right, Anton. We actually brought out Liz Wiseman, the author of the book and the publisher of the training program. And she did a one-day event in Johannesburg, which a number of our corporate clients attended. What's fascinating about the Multipliers concept is it has it works on the premise of two different starting assumptions. The one assumption is people can't figure it out without me. What the research highlighted is in many instances, leaders feel with very good intention that they need to contribute to the solution and have all the answers. And it's often just sort of how we got taught as leaders and as managers is that if you got into a more responsible or senior position, that you needed to contribute something to the people working with you and for you. The other assumption is people are smart and they can figure it out for themselves. And that works on the premise that as a leader, you act more like a coach and you facilitate your team finding the solution, working on the premise that they'll be able to figure it out without me. So what was amazing about the event in Johannesburg is Liz took us through a day, and it was extremely well received by everybody in the room. The feedback unanimously was, that's just brilliant. But when it got to the Q&A and we sort of bantered about some sort of questions that are more relevant to our own backyard here in South Africa, what was highlighted is that culturally, in some instances, we've been trained almost in South Africa to work on the premise that people need my help as a leader. And I think often we're not tapping into the resources and the talents that we have in organizations, simply because the term that they use is we're shutting down the smarts of others. So we accidentally end up diminishing followers in our teams and not really accessing their brain power because we think that's what leadership needs to be. And it was a very definite theme coming out from the Q&A session that if we could just shift our weight a little bit and we could change that starting assumption, the potential talent we could access from people, the brain power, the capacity, is more than doubled. And that was actually evidenced in the research as well.
Yes, I remember you mentioned last time that there were hard and concrete numbers attached to those types of things in respect of how much people could contribute and how much the term you used was brain power, how much solution power, how much interactivity you were promoting just by slightly shifting an approach.
Yeah, and to me it's just fascinating. You know, when I facilitate strategies, I'm facilitating more and more strategic conversations today. And unequivocally, what comes up in every session is a skills shortage. I don't think one client in the last 5 years has not said, I've got a skills shortage. But then when you look at the sort of the organizational structure and the critical skills shortage, which might be engineering, technical skills, financial skills, etc. And in some instances, basic sales skills. And then you see the research that says, actually, you can access double the brain power. You know, the question that gets posed in my mind is maybe it's not a shortage of brain power. Maybe it's just an inability to access the brain power that exists. Mm-hmm. So maybe we don't have a skill shortage. Maybe we haven't got a shortage of talent. Maybe if we could literally tweak our leadership style and adopt some very practical behaviors, part of that challenge of what we call a skill shortage might go away. It also helps enormously with retention.
Right. Okay. The event in Cape Town happens on the 5th of June. If someone was attending this event, what would they expect from the day?
In BRG, we run something called a progress conference, which is our sort of leadership thought leader events. We also do master classes, which are 1 or 2 day seminars with sort of deeper dives into technical expertise around strategy and innovation capability. And then we also do something called a BRG business breakfast. And at the business breakfast, what we basically do is we provide a keynote presentation on one of our thought leader philosophies or theories. And in this instance, it's on Liz Wiseman's Multipliers. So people that come will not just leave with a theory, but they'll also leave with an insight and a tool that they can implement in their team straight away. So it's more than a taste. It's and you actually walk away with something practical as well.
Sounds fascinating. If people want to know more about this, where can they find out more about it, how to attend the event and all the details?
They can visit our website, which is www.brg.co.za, or they can call us on our number is 0861 Be Great.
Be great.
Be great. BGREAT. 0861 Be Great. But if you want a regular number, it's Johannesburg 463-9898. And I think from what I've heard, we've got some seats left in Cape Town, but it's booking out quite quickly.
I can imagine. This sounds fascinating. Nicola Tyler of Business Results Group, thanks once again for joining us and talking to us about multipliers. We're going to try to do our best to get a little snippet or insight at the event itself. But again, it sounds fascinating. It's a fascinating approach. I understand there are a few books available on the subject as well. And you've heard the contact details. Go ahead and contact Nicola or her people at Business Results Group. Thanks very much again for joining us, Nicola.
Fantastic. Thanks, Anton.
You have been listening to the Oracle podcast, brought to you by Ore Consulting, www.oreconsulting.co.za.